So, this title of this video is Why Christian Films Don't Resonate with the General Public. Now, before I even start, I already know that I'm probably going to catch some backlash on some of my opinions. These are basically just the things that I see as facts and what I've heard people say in interviews and all kinds of different things on why Christian films don't quite hit the point for filmmaking and storytelling as other films do that rank in big money. Now, not to say that Christian films don't make a lot of money. They, in fact, do. There is a large public of films that have made pretty damn good success within the realms of Christian films. But the problem that we see is after people go and see these films that generally end up having a small audience type release where they're in select theaters, they're not exactly a worldwide pop-in success. They have a large boost, but that's mainly because of the budget. A majority of your Christian films have a pretty small budget whenever it comes to their comparison to other films. Now, if you were to put a Christian film in the budget that came along with that Christian film next to Christopher Nolan's Inception, you're going to see a large difference from one budget to the other budget. And that's because of the fact that it's not necessarily a hate towards Christian films. It's just because there's been such a track record that follows the Christian films that a majority of people that are, producing films and whatnot, that have the big pockets, they don't generally go that direction. Now, if there was a larger set of money and maybe the tone was switched, that might be a different story. But generally what happens is whenever somebody goes into a Christian film, there's three things that mainly make up the quality of the experience. For what you have whenever you go in, I said that there's three. There's actually more, but yeah, there's the plot and the story. That goes basically that drives the story from beginning to end and tells it the best way possible. A majority of the films that you see that are within this the Christian cinematic realm, is it's always somebody that is of Christian faith that battles against somebody in some sort of form or manner, and is always about religion or them having to save their religion, or they're having to fight against the fact that somebody's trying to take their religion away. There's also points that need to be made towards the acting. There's always, I wouldn't say really bad acting, but a majority of the time that whenever they scout for actors or whatnot and stuff, they always get some no-names individuals. They don't really push forward or try to get somebody of a higher standard. Every once in a while, you might see some notable talent actually being shown up on screen, but for the most part, it's no names and people that aren't really going to drive a large audience and stuff to flock to the theaters to see these films. That's a majority of the reason why movies end up getting big and popping the box offices and stuff on opening weekends and stuff, because of the fact that people generally follow the talent. And a lot of the talent that I've seen in these movies, they can't act themselves out of a paper bag. So why are they the star of the film? It's because of the fact that a majority of the individuals that go into these films and they start making these Christian films, they're doing for the purpose of trying to reach people who don't know about God and blah, blah, blah. Okay, for one, I don't know a single person that's on this earth that doesn't know about God. I mean, the religion is constantly in the news. It's constantly being pushed down people's throats on the street and stuff. And the thing is, the majority of the time in the movies, you see that exact reflection, but it's always covered with a blanket of hate. Basically, it's done with like a Karen kindness, where the woman Karen, whatever, tries to be kind, but instead she still comes off as, well, a witch with the B. And that's normally how it ends up going all the time. I mean, going into this movie and saying, "Oh, I never knew this guy. God existed." Blah blah blah. I mean, God has been passed around through so many mouths. He has a better track record than the average college girl. Now, that was probably a bad joke. I shouldn't have said that. But needless to say, needless to say, the talent isn't there as far as the acting goes, which draws a majority of the people that are watching these movies out. The story is somewhat and every once in a while something comes out of the blue in that realm, such as like the Chronicles of Narnia. That was completely different than your average, Christian film to come out. And the thing is, they weren't constantly, oh, God this, God that, God this. It had basically an underlying moral message and underlying, ideals and everything like that that were kind of showcased, but not completely overbearing. And these films happen to kind of like shine light in the public. Passion of the Christ is another great example. You have a phenomenal filmmaker, Mel Gibson, who ended up telling the story in the way that he saw, to tell the story. And the thing is, with his film, he pushed certain boundaries that these Christian films don't push. Now, he wanted to keep it realistic. Whenever you're going into a situation where you're trying to tell a story and you're trying to reach an audience or keep an audience captivated, the one thing that always seems to interrupt that captivation is the fact that sometimes it's not relatable or it's not realistic. Certain situations in these films, there was one I believe that was like, I think it's called I Do Believe or I Still Believe. It was one about a guy that basically he was an old gangbanger, and he ended up getting away from the gang life, but it's because like pretty much his entire crew died or something like that. But in these situations, you never really see the true grit or the stuff that they have to face or how violent it is to really resonate with the audience. Oh, wow, this guy's really escaping, or this guy's escaping a really hard life. They kind of water everything down because of the fact that I don't know what it is about the Christian religion, but they're like, oh, we can't glorify violence or anything like that whenever it's relating to God. But yet you got Joel Osteen or whatever breaking exactly what God talked about in the Bible and stuff, and selling all kinds of shit inside the church and everything like that. Whenever that right there is a backhand to God Himself, because He said you should not sell anything in a place of worship, but yet Joel Osteen is making millions upon millions of dollars doing exactly that. A fake Christian. So basically, these people want to sit there and talk about their morals of the reasons why they don't go certain directions with film. I would be able to see that if it was pushing certain boundaries, but I was like, that's not exactly pushing a boundary. Yeah, violence and blah 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 and stuff like that isn't exactly what you want to constantly think about. But when you're trying to tell a story, you're trying to make sure it makes an impact. And without certain elements to basically drive that story forward, that impact is gone. You're throwing it out the window. So now, if you're trying to avoid certain things like that when you're making a movie, you might want to leave it out altogether. You might want to just not tell that type of story. But there's a certain reflection that whenever you're trying to tell a story, and it's understandable if you're trying to reach a certain message or resonate with your audience, that this is what you should be focused on. But instead, what you're doing is you're just overloading on the God aspect instead of the story itself, because the people will be able to find that God aspect if you just have the story there. And that's one thing that I say is like, it always seems to fall off at a certain point. I'm pretty sure that Chris Pratt would be more than willing to act in a Christian film. He's gone on to talk about God and how he follows the religion and everything like that. But yet, for some reason, that's something that's not explored. Uh, the numbers of the people that watch these films, they're going in, they're watching them, but the takeaway is they just feel that it's the same thing. And it started where there was like this heightened peak, I believe in 2010 or something like that, where Christian religion movies were popping. And you had Fireproof that did really well in the box office, and really well whenever it came to DVD and home video and whatnot. And then you had Courageous, which went straight to DVD, and it did all right and stuff. And then the other movies and stuff ended up having a limited amount of success, and they only went to a certain amount of theaters, and it just kept dropping, just kept going down and going down. And now there hasn't been really anything that I've seen. See, the thing is now, if you're following like Christian religion, Christian religion and things that are popular within the Christian religions and forums and whatnot and stuff like that, the likelihood is you've seen something as far as like a movie that might have came out, whatever, that was geared or whatever in the Christian religion and everything like that. But as far as somebody that's on the outside, that the movie's supposed to be reaching somebody like me or somebody else that doesn't follow the scripture or anything like that. I haven't heard anything of anything new, and it's been 6 years or something around there, like 5-6 years. But I mean, you never know. It could happen, could not happen. Um, just if you want to, we could discuss. Maybe give a couple of insights or something, maybe that I don't know. I'm just going to let y'all know that I'm not a genius when it comes to the Christian faith-based type stuff. Feel free to educate me, do anything that you want to as far as like talking about the video or anything. I mean, I would like to hear back, and just throw it down in the comments. We could have a discussion there. If you're following and you like the type of content that I put out, just letting you know, the way we kind of pay for our bills, pay for things and stuff, we have a Patreon where we're going to be constantly we've been putting, but we're going to be putting more exclusive content that's going to be dropping on it. And anyway, so it's like $1 a month. It's not a whole bunch, but if you want to help support or anything like that, the link is in the description. We also have a link to our store where you can buy merchandise that has like all kinds of cool designs and everything, from our Beyond Brutal Fight brand to Toxic Film Productions and Royal Class Video. So if you're wanting to have some cool custom merch, you buy it. We get like a percentage or a cut of the each item sold, which also adds to be able to make and create cool videos. Just letting you know. So if you want to kind of check out what we got, it's down in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and maybe possibly share this with somebody that you know will probably like to hear a little bit of what I like to talk about as far as film.